Hello and welcome to BarChat, a production of the Connecticut Bar Association where we interview leaders in the business and in law. My name is Doug Brown. I'm the Executive Director of the Connecticut Bar Association, and my guest today is Walt Hampton. Welcome, Walt.
Thank you, Doug. So happy to be here.
Happy to have you. Walt is a member of the CBA. He's a lawyer, executive coach, adventurer, and author. And we spent a bunch of time over the years talking about this topic. Today's topic is really how to get control of your email box before it controls you.
Yes.
And it probably already controls you. So,
already does.
You know, when we think about this topic, and when this first came out years ago, it was just email. So we'll talk about email today, but it's really more than email right now. It's your email and multiple email accounts. It's your texts. It's your messaging. LinkedIn, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever other things that people might be using. But so the concepts are the same. We talk about email. We'll use that kind of as a proxy for all those things. But let's start with, why is it so important to get control of your email box?
Well, you know, when you and I went to law school, there was that great old movie called The Paper Chase.
I remember that.
And we believed that with the advent of technology, the paper chase would be behind us. And of course, what's happened is it's just gotten crazier. It's gotten worse. We're inundated not only with paper, but we're inundated with electronic input all of the time. And the question is how to manage this huge, massive influx of information and communication.
So what are some of the challenges that you've seen in your work with lawyers on this idea of, you know, I've got to be always on, my clients are expecting immediate response, and so they spend their day responding to email that haven't gotten their work done.
Right.
So what kind of things are you seeing, and what are you telling them as a way to kind of start digging out from under?
Well, in another program, you and I have talked about the cost of constant distraction. The cost of constant distraction is huge. It leads to overwhelm, it leads to stress, it leads to malpractice. And so developing some practices around email is absolutely key to sanity and to sound practice habits. So, for example, I presume that you have a relationship with a physician, and sometimes you call that physician, he or she. That physician doesn't get back to you right away. It's usually at the end of the day within a designated period of time. Now, what's interesting is that the concept of working within block time, this is a concept we teach to our clients, is one of the most powerful ways to stay focused. And so rather than responding continuously through the day, where there's this continuous partial attention that has this huge cost, to set aside a couple of times a day where you respond to email. Maybe between 10 and 11, might be between 3 and 4, but you're not constantly distracted by email because of the cost of the distraction.
But what about the lawyers out there who, you know, people in general, operate from fear? They're afraid, well, if I don't get right back to this client, they'll go to another lawyer. Or if I don't respond to this email chain quickly enough, it'll get out of control and I'll have lost control of it. And my client will do something silly. How do you get over that? To be able to have really the courage to say, I'm not going to respond to my email whenever it dings.
I will tell you, you hit right at it. Again, you know, like so many of the things we teach and talk about, it's about mindset. And whether it's a fear mindset or a scarcity mindset. You know, I have counseled a young associate whose partner makes him stay in the office every night until 7 o'clock in case that next big case comes in. Not because there's work to do, but just in case that next big case. I don't know, maybe it comes in at 7:10. I don't know what happens then. But if we live in fear, we're always reactive and we're never in our place of power. And the truth is, you know, there's an old adage in the stock market, you know, the train leaves the station every day. And in an abundance mindset, in a non-scarcity mindset, yes, we might miss this client, but the next client will come.
So the first principle is to make blocks of time so that you can reply on kind of your own schedule. And I'm presuming that means you got to set expectations with a client so that they understand that if you don't respond right away, it's not that you're not paying attention, it might be handling other clients' matters.
We teach others how to treat us. We teach our families how to treat us. We teach our staffs how to treat us. We teach our clients how to treat us.
You mean we've trained our clients to expect immediate response?
Yes, we have. Yes,
Isn't
we
that
have.
interesting?
Yes. And we can train them otherwise.
We can train them otherwise.
We can train them otherwise.
Yeah.
You introduced me as an adventurer. I've gone away on mountain climbing trips for 28 or 30 days. And I communicate very clearly with my clients what their expectations can be. And I'll tell you, I don't think I've lost a client in 30 years over a 28-day mountain trip.
So expectations is really important. And one of the things that people can just do in general is make sure that how you're going to communicate with them is clear when you set up the relationship in the retainer letter, so that clients know that, hey, you know what, I'm going to respond to emails. If you text me, that's not going to be as effective.
Well, that's a whole nother issue, but let me hit the first piece first, which is, yes, the expectation, the communication is absolutely clear, and one very practical way that you could do that, if you wanted, would be to set up autoresponders. You know, we do it for vacation away,
sure,
but you could set up an autoresponder on your email that says, dear client, thanks for your email. I check and respond to my emails between 11 and noon and between 4 and 5. If you have an emergent issue, if you really need to get a hold of me, call my assistant at such and such a number.
So that's great tip.
So that's number one.
Yeah.
But the issue of always being on comes back to another principle that I want to share.
That's what I was looking for. What's the next one?
Okay. Don't check your email first thing in the morning. Do not do it. 80% of people sleep with their cell phones, which is crazy. I'm sorry, it's just crazy. Most people, the very first thing they do in the morning is they check their email. Now, here's what the problem is with doing that.
Sure, yeah. Why wouldn't you want to get a jump on the day?
Okay. The problem is, if you know what you want to accomplish today, which is critical to productivity and success, if you know what you value most in the day, if you know what your outcome is for the day, your email inbox is somebody else's agenda for your day. It's not your agenda, it's somebody else's agenda. And if you do not react in that moment, you are at least emotionally hijacked in that moment, because then you're thinking about what you're going to say to that mean email that came in overnight, and you're formulating your response. You've been emotionally hijacked or physically hijacked by somebody else's agenda.
So how is that better than this fear of not knowing? So many of us want to know everything that's going on, and this worry about what's in the email box I haven't seen if you don't check it till 9 or 10 in the morning.
Well, that comes back to that whole fear mentality. I mean, if you are master of your time and master of your day, somebody else's agenda shouldn't matter to you in that moment if you are tending to what matters most for you.
Okay, so don't check it first thing in the morning.
Don't check it first thing in the morning. Work in block time. If you feel particularly uncomfortable at the outset setting up those blocks, then set the autoresponders. And by the way, you know, this kind of comes back to another program we've done about time mastery. What the science shows is we work in cycles like we sleep in cycles, and that we work best in 60 to 90 minute blocks of time. And so if you want to really write a great brief, turn off your Outlook alerts, turn off your email, turn off the phone, close the door, work on your brief for 60 to 90 minutes.
That's a great point, because if you were in a client meeting or on a phone for 60 or 90 minutes, or if you were at court, you wouldn't be reachable. So why wouldn't you take that time for yourself to work on whether it's your business or on your client matter?
We get addicted to that stimulation, and it becomes habitual. And I've worked with people who are interviewing for new jobs who will reach for their cell phone in the middle of an interview, Doug, and look at their alert. You know, what we've lost is the ability to do this. The ability to connect by all of these technological.
You mean Twitter isn't a connection?
It's deep and meaningful. but
in 144 characters.
But you said something else, which is interesting about the various modes of communication. And I've had this, and you've had this. So I get an email, and maybe I don't respond right away, and all of a sudden I've got a client who shows up on my personal Facebook page. I swear, I have taught him to do it differently. As in, we don't do this. But so maybe you get a LinkedIn message and you respond by email, and the question then becomes, how do you keep track of all this? And again, you need to set some policies and procedures, or otherwise, practiced with a now federal court judge in my early years at Reed and Riga, and he said he was fond of saying, "Did you write the letter?" You know, everything ought to be memorialized.
Sure.
How do you keep a paper trail if it's, you know, a Twitter feed or a Twitter direct message and a LinkedIn response and an email? It becomes unmanageable.
So would you then recommend, if you get those alternative paths, that you just reply to the client that, let's have this conversation in an email, and I'll reply to you that way?
Yes.
That way
absolutely.
you have a record of it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Keep it consistent. Keep it consistent.
Yeah, and that way it'll work with your practice management system too.
Yes.
That you're not copying and pasting.
So can we talk a little bit about the email itself?
Yeah, let's talk about that. I was going to ask you for your next tip, so you're right ahead of me.
So I like to apply the 3 Ds.
Okay.
Which are do, delegate, or delete.
Okay.
And you know, it's not rocket surgery. You know, it's related to how we used to teach the paper management.
Sure. Give us a quick overview. How does that work?
Which is touch it once. When it's sitting in your inbox undone, it's just this constant energetic draw on you. And so when you go into your inbox, in that hour, half hour that you've dedicated for email, you either do it, which means respond to it or file it, one or the other. Ought to have a file, either respond it or file it, or delegate it, forward it to your assistant to follow up, or delete it, get rid of it. So delegate, or delete.
So many of our members are in small and solo firm practice.
Yes.
The ABA has statistics that 75% of the lawyers in practice in the United States are in firms of 5 or less.
Yes.
So how does the delegate piece, if you don't have anybody to delegate it to?
Well, then go either do or delete. Get rid of the middle D.
And if it's going to take more, if you've got 50 emails to get through, would you delegate it to yourself at a future time to work on it later?
I think that's a slippery slope.
It is. Okay.
Again, I think it's a slippery slope that if you're going to set aside this block of time for your email, you know, maybe it's related to the brief you're writing. So sure, you know, then it gets you know, into that time where you're working on the brief or the motion. That's okay. But you know, if you're not managing it, if it's just kind of staying, I like to say it's like the glove, you know, the light in your glove box on a cold winter night. You know, just it's this having that big, massive inbox monster is this little drain, this energetic drain on you that just saps your energy over time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's the next tip, is if you want to get started, give yourself an email amnesty day.
Email amnesty?
Email
What's
amnesty.
That?
So we're lawyers. We don't want to just go at this crazily.
You might miss something.
You might miss something. But if you want to start today with a clean email inbox, I've worked with lawyers, they've have like 10,000 emails in their inbox, I swear. They're there, they haven't been filed, they haven't been deleted, they're just sitting there, just haunting them. Set up, you know, and it's easy in a Gmail account, set up a folder. You call it your amnesty folder. Okay. And move everything over there. Just move everything into your amnesty folder. And then you can start fresh with do, delegate, or delete.
And then you can go back if you
And you can go back if you want to. You can go back if you want to. What you'll usually find is there wasn't anything in there just
because you've already dealt with most of it. Well, one of the things I've found recently, and it didn't used to be this way, you used to have a lot of time deleting emails because storage was expensive.
Yes.
Well, storage is so inexpensive right now. I don't even bother deleting the emails anymore. I just focus on what I need, because you could spend, if you spend an hour deleting emails, that could be an hour that you're billing for a client or adding value.
Exactly.
So in the time we have left, just one more tip or principle people can use, kind of starting right now, if you wanted to leave people with one big idea of what to do next that we haven't talked about for email, what would that be?
Step away from it. Create a tech-free zone for yourself.
A tech-free zone?
Tech-free zone. Have a tech-free dinner. Have a tech-free evening. Don't check your email at the end of the day, in the middle of your dinner, as you are interacting with your kids, as you're interacting with your partner. Get away from the tech. It will renew you.
Terrific. Well, that's a great way to start. We're in offering a tech solution, but maybe a step away from the video as well. So for Walt Hampton, this is Doug Brown from the Connecticut Bar Association, and we'll see you next time.